come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1.
Line drive to the base. Just as they score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is saved. Saved at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Forbes Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie Jackson. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Racker throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from the faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run! The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires, ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Leva. Gets hit goodbye. One out.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us on a rainy, overcast, foggy, hazy kind of day here in the upstate of South Carolina. Hope that your morning is going well. We've got a good show lined up for you today. Probably going to be running a little bit beyond the hour mark, in fact, because of what we have planned, and also set you up for what should be maybe an even bigger show on Friday. Just want to start this morning by tipping a cap to a group of men that I got to spend some time with last night down in Chester, South Carolina. I was asked to come and speak to the men's ministry at the Chester Baptist Association, and we had a dinner beforehand, and then probably 80 or 90 guys had showed up, and I got a chance to share a little bit my testimony and some other things. It was a great night of fellowship. Really, really enjoyed my time there, and just so thankful for the opportunity. And I don't go out and campaign for these things. I usually just leave it in the hands of the good Lord. But I'll just say this: I love sharing my testimony, and I love challenging men. If you are interested in hearing more about that, you can contact me in any of the ways that you normally get in touch with me. If nothing else, my email address is dan.scott@furman.edu. But just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity last night, and really enjoyed the evening. It was a late night, but it was a fun night, and we had a blast. Coming up on the show today, we are going to take a little bit of a look at the Citadel and see where they are statistically in this midweek. They have played 7 games so far. They are 3-4 on the season, and of course they are the homecoming opponent on Saturday here at Paladin Stadium. Furman ranked 8th in both the coaches poll and the FCS stats poll, coming off of the bye week and looking to maintain their stranglehold on first place in the Southern Conference. So we're going to talk about that. You get the first listen, although it's a week later than normal because of the bye, the first listen to the highlight package from the Samford game, the Furman flashback that will air early in the Pepsi Countdown to Kickoff in Saturday's pregame broadcast. That'll be coming up in the next segment as well. Dave Glenn of ACCSports.com and the David Glenn Show will be here as we'll go away from Furman long enough to go ACC and a little national sports look as we do every Wednesday, and then come back and do an interview, play an interview that I recorded with Brett Harker, the baseball coach here at Furman, a little fall ball update. And they've got a couple of opportunities this weekend if you love Furman baseball, love college baseball, and want to see some good college baseball. There are going to be a couple of opportunities here at Latham Stadium on Saturday night and on Sunday afternoon. So you'll hear more about that with Brett. And that interview is kind of extended, and we'll go probably beyond 11 o'clock with that. Then on Friday, of course, we take a deeper dive into Furman in the Citadel. We'll, if all goes according to plan, have our regular interview with men's soccer coach Doug Allison. And then if everything stays on schedule, and I'm really excited about this one, the entire second half of the show, and probably a little beyond that, will be dedicated to a one-on-one interview that I'm supposed to record today with Furman's new athletic director, Jason Donnelly. Really sit down and go in-depth with him for the first time, and if that comes off as planned, that will air on Friday's show in probably the entire second half of the program. So just keep that in mind. Circle that Friday. Excuse me. Should be a big one here on the Dan Scott Show from a Furman perspective. Our program, as always, is brought to you by the folks at Carolina Creative. Not just simple, but simply brilliant. They are just, Randy and his folks, they are just incredible when it comes to marketing, branding, and pushing your business forward. They do, or did my website, thedanscottshow.com, which we would encourage you to go out and spend some time at. And if you need that kind of work for your business, I highly encourage you to check out the contact info now on the lower left-hand part of your screen and give Randy a call. It's Carolina Creative, the presenting sponsor of the show. All right, we'll come back. Up first after the break will be the first listen of the highlight package for Furman and Sanford heading into the Citadel game, and then a little deeper dive into who this Citadel team is 7 games into their season. We'll come back and do all that in a moment. And you are listening to and watching The Dan Scott Show. Don't go away. Hey, everybody. Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
Imagine a university. A university where your passion for protecting local water sources is encouraged. And now, your work not only benefits your career, but the health of those in your community and around the world. This is Furman. This is the Furman Advantage.
If you're looking for auto repair, you want superior work, not inferior parts and worse, inferior pricing. Hi, this is Dan Scott. I take all of my business to Superior Auto Care. That's Chris Burkett at 410 Ross Avenue in Easley. He brought my wife's car back from the dead. There's no other way to say it. For 4 months, it had been sitting with a major transmission issue. Chris was able to diagnose it along with some other problems and get it back and running again. Mrs. Scott is happy, and guys, you know how it is. Happy wife, happy life, right? Well, he can do it all for you, from the simple things like oil changes, brake service, air conditioning service, tires, to major engine and transmission work, even electrical work. Works on domestic cars as well as foreign cars. Again, they're located at 410 Ross Avenue. That's Superior Auto Care. Give them a call today at 864-306-1988. Superior Auto Care in Easley.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Dan Scott. Good to have you with us as we continue on this wet and rainy Wednesday. The Paladins haven't played, of course, since 2 Saturdays ago, the 5th of October. But, man, what a game that was. 58-14 over Sanford, bye week, and now heading towards the Citadel. Well, our broadcast will begin at 11:30 with the Pepsi countdown to kickoff. And in the, I guess technically the third segment, is always the Furman flashback, and that's the highlight package that is the audio story of the previous game that was played. Well, that is Sanford, and that highlight package, as we always do here on the show on Wednesdays, we give you the first listen. So here it is. Check it out. This is Furman's win over Sanford audio-wise. From the near side hash, and they'll go option to the short side pitch, and a big hole for Devin Wynn, breaking down the near sideline, and he is gone. How about that? One play, 75 yards, and just like that, the Paladins a kick away from tying it up. Devin Wynn to the house. In the pistol, and Granger, play action, dropping to throw, going deep, has a man open, Thomas Gordon, chalk it up, touchdown. Deep post, play action, and he put it right on the money. 38-yard touchdown pass, and the Paladins lead it 13-7. Welch to throw, we're rushing three, looking, throws to his safety valve, look out, wow! Quandarius Weems just doubled up the young running back, Jay Staten, right at the 30-yard line, bent him in half with a textbook shoulder to the gut tackle, and that's got everybody in purple on the other side standing up. And handoff on first down, big hole! That is Devin Wynn, and this is a foot race. He is going to go all the way down the near sideline. Touchdown, 89 yards for Devin Wynn. Thomas Gordon wide to the far side. That's the wide side of the field. And Granger to throw. He's going to lob it towards Gordon on the far side. Leaping catch and touchdown. Right at the front pylon on the far side of the field. Gordon's second touchdown catch of the game. It is 34-7 Paladins. In the pistol, and he's going to throw. Pressure, steps up, lets it go. Far side touchdown. Is that Thomas Gordon again? Yes, sir. That's 3 for number 89. Granger put it right on the money. And the Paladins rolling it up here at Cybert Stadium. It is 41-14. Fake the toss. Pressure. Granger steps up, throws. Look at Wynn. Wide open down the middle of the field. Had to wait on it. Made the catch inside the 20, inside the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown. Boy, Darren Granger made that play by stepping through two rushing Bulldogs that were coming at him, got just enough on the throw. Wynn stopped, picked it off his shoe tops, and then took it 61 yards for the touchdown. Fourth down and a long two. And a speed sweep. They faked the reverse. We got him in the backfield and dropped him.
Jordan Willis.
Jordan Willis ate it up, and the Paladin defense holds and will take over at the 16-yard line. Oladokin to throw on second down. Swings it, the ball's batted up in the air.
Yes, sir.
And he dived. Did he intercept it? He did. We picked it off. Which one of the linemen was it? It was Matt Sachovka who batted it up in the air and made the diving interception. And the Paladins turn them away in the red zone for the second straight possession. Those are fun to do. When your team is scoring all the points and making all the defensive plays, you get a lot of highlights, and that was a good one. And, you know, just to kind of flash back to that game just for a moment, we talked about it a little bit last Monday, but the big thing to me is Sanford has been such a thorn in Furman's side over the past half dozen years or so. It had not won against the Bulldogs since 2015 when John Croft Hollingsworth kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired up there. And Clay's first year, a 26-20 loss there, had an opportunity to win a share of the conference championship. Didn't get it done. Last year had a 19-10 lead here, despite the fact that Harris Roberts, the starting quarterback, had been knocked out of the game on the second possession, and a young Darren Granger was running the offense. Couldn't generate touchdowns. If you remember, that's the game that Grayson Atkins kicked 3 50-plus yard field goals, and that game turned on one defensive play that Sanford made, a scoop and score off of a fumble, and they ended up winning it 38-25, I think. So to go down there, get that win in that fashion in a battle for first place in the league, there was a little extra satisfaction there, and Clay admitted so on Monday in his press conference. All right, so who is this Citadel team that's coming in to Paladin Stadium? Well, it's being a triple option team, as you might imagine. They are heavy on the run, 241 yards on the ground per game, averaging 3.8 yards per carry. So it's not so much of a big play running game. It is a grinded out type of running game. And Brandon Rainey, the quarterback, is running that option and has been playing with an injured knee, which it does affect what he can do from a running standpoint to a great degree. But they're still averaging 241 yards per game on the ground. They're averaging 100 yards, 101 yards, if to be specific, through the air. And they are throwing the ball, but they don't throw it very often. Rainey's thrown it 62 times, but he's thrown 8 touchdown passes in those 62 attempts, 3 interceptions, completing 58.1% of his passes. And typical of a triple option team, they grind you, they grind you, they grind you. They get your eyes as a defender looking somewhere else, and somebody runs by you, and they hit the big play in the passing game. So that's kind of where they've been. Rainey is actually the leading rusher on the team by a single yard over Clay Harris. Rainey has 433 yards on 131 carries. That's only a 3.3 yard per carry average. Harris averages 4.2 yards per carry. He has 432 net yards. And then Remus Butler has 191. Dante Smith, 163. So they've got some guys they will give the ball to. Their leading receiver is Raleigh Webb. He has 18 catches for 373 yards. 7 of his 18 catches have gone for touchdowns. And big play passing game, he averages 20.7 yards per reception with a long of 53 on the season. So, again, typical of the triple option. They're going to grind it, try to get momentum in the run game, and then they're going to try to go over your head on occasion in the passing game. And they've had moderate success. They of course, beat what's turned out to be a woefully and maybe historically bad Georgia Tech team, but it's still a win going up in category, playing FBS, and then turn around and lose the longest game in school history, the 4 overtime game at Samford, and then turn around and lose again to the VMI. And that was of course, VMI all of a sudden is sitting there at 3-1 in the Southern Conference, which is another story in and of itself. But the Citadel got a win again on this past Saturday at Western Carolina, 35-17, to kind of right the ship a little bit. But they come in at 3-4. They come in at 1-2 in the conference. And, of course, it's the oldest rivalry in the SoCon. This will be the 99th meeting between these teams. Furman leads the series 60-35-4, and we'll be looking for number 61 on Saturday. It's 1 o'clock kick, 11:30 airtime, and on Friday we'll have much more about this game. We need to take a break and come back. When we do, Dave Glenn joins us on the other side. We'll go a little ACC, a little national sports, and then following him, an extended interview with Brett Harker. All that on the other side. Dan Scott Show continues in just a moment. Dan Scott here for Todaro Pizza. Some of you may remember my old radio show in Clemson. Todaro Pizza was a sponsor of mine from the earliest days of the show. And if you know anything about me when it comes to advertising restaurants, if I don't like the food, I ain't going to tell you to go there. I love Todaro Pizza, and now Clemson's Best Pizza has finally come to Greenville. Yes, the new Todaro location is located at 116 North Markley Street, right down the block from Fluor Field. Classic, specialty and stuffed pizzas, calzones, wings, and so much more. The No Limit Lunch Buffet is available 7 days a week for just $8. Monday night is cheap pizza night, and you can try your hand at trivia every Thursday. Todaro Pizza has outdoor dining on Markley. It's open late, making it a convenient stop before or after the drive games. Find them on Facebook or online at TodaroPizza.com. Todaro Pizza, 864-603-3500.
For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant more life-changing wishes. Visit Make-A-Wish online now. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Dan Scott here for the Atlanta Bread Company. What do I like about Atlanta Bread? Well, too much to mention in a short commercial, but here are a few things. Bread baked daily fresh on site, a tremendous selection of soup, sandwiches, and salads, seasonal special additions to the menu, delicious hot coffee, and a bevy of other drink options. And yeah, can't forget about the baked sweet goodies. Dine in or carry out, and when you have the Atlanta Bread Company app, you can order and pay online, then breeze past the lines to the pickup counter to get your food. Experience it for yourself. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville. If you're looking for a unique dining experience in the Clemson area, let me suggest Four Paws American Pub, where they have specials like Carolina popcorn, a freshly battered fried okra, which is the hottest selling appetizer and side item in the upstate, or the Bulldozer, the signature burger featuring a fried green tomato, Four Paws pimento cheese and bacon with a smoky house aioli, or you can build your own burger or a fresh green salad from a large selection of toppings. And they also have the teriyaki salmon pan-seared over rice or a bed of green salad. Enjoy terrific food at Four Paws American Pub in Clemson. You can enjoy local recipes while watching games on the TVs or relaxing with your pup on the dog-friendly patio. Come to Four Paws, located on Highway 93 in front of the Courtyard Marriott, or call 654-5151 to order for carry-out and tailgating. You need to make tracks to Four Paws American Pub. All right, as we welcome you back on this Wednesday edition of the program, good to have you here. I'm Dan Scott. Our next segment, of course, is our visit with Dave Glenn, and it's brought to you by, well, you just heard him, Four Paws American Grill over in Clemson. The menu's incredible. So many different things for sit-down meals, takeout, quick snack food, whatever it is you're looking for. They've got it. The what they call the Carolina popcorn, which is their deep fried okra, the different varieties of wings, the Bulldozer, which is kind of their signature hamburger, and just so much more. 654-5151 is the number if you want to call ahead for carryout. Lots of high-def TVs there. If you want to watch the game while you have dinner, you can do that. Do what they say, make tracks to Four Paws. They are bringing you our weekly visit this week with Dave Glenn, who we welcome in on the celebrity guest line after being away last week. We were away last week, not Dave. He was locked and loaded and ready to go, as is usually the case. But here he is joining us this week as we go around the ACC and who knows, maybe some other places as well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Dan. Good to be with you again.
Good to have you with us as always. You got a chance to get out on the links on Monday, huh? Before the weather turned a little bit.
Yeah, we have a North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame that is actually based in Raleigh, where I live and work. And I've had a great relationship with them for a long time. And you're going to have to brace yourself for this. But just as, ACC Commissioner John Swofford was a celebrity golfer on Monday, just as former UNC point guard Phil Ford was a celebrity golfer, national champion Wolfpack guard Derek Wittenberg, another celebrity golfer. You might remember Ricky Prohl from Wake Forest and the Carolina Panthers and others, celebrity golfer. And somewhere on that list was a guy who hosts a statewide syndicated radio show. And the poor quartet who showed up and found that I was their celebrity golfer. I think I entertained them, but I'm not the best golfer in the world, so I'm not sure I helped their final score all that much.
Right? They were who were we going to be paired with? Wah wah.
If there were sound effects, that might have been it.
No, come on now, you're selling yourself short doing what you've done there. As long you're a day-to-day name in the state of North Carolina. Well, good. I'm glad you got a chance to. Do that, and when you can get those kind of guys together. Derek Wittenberg's a name that jumps out to me because I was in high school when they won that national championship, and remembering how they won it and how unlikely that was, and the indelible memory of everything that happened there is always going to be Jimmy Valvano running around looking for somebody to hug.
Well, Coach Witt, I've actually played golf with him a few times, and he's still the big personality. He still, of course, swears that it was a pass, not a shot.
Right.
On the final sequence there, as the Wolfpack shocked Phi Slama Jama and the rest of the world, winning it all with Jimmy V, leading up to that, let's find a hug type situation. And I'll squeeze in one other thing. If you recall the name John Clockerty, who was an on-court official and one of distinction for a long time in college basketball, and then remember for a long time, it's Brian Kersey right now who supervises the ACC basketball officials. But John Clockerty was in that role for a long, long time. And he lives in Raleigh, and I've gotten to know him well and play some golf with him. He is 76 years old. He's retired, so he doesn't take calls from angry coaches anymore. And I'm telling you, Dan, I'm not, I'm an okay golfer. I'm not good. I'm not horrible. I'm just kind of okay. John Clockerty at 76 years old, I am not exaggerating when I say he doesn't help us off the tee, but mid-range irons and pitches around the green and, getting out of a bunker or this is most important, making a difficult putt. I'm not kidding when I say a 76-year-old retired version of John Clockerty would fit in those areas the best golfers that I've ever been around who were not professional golfers. I mean, it was mesmerizing when I played with him not too long ago. And I just can't believe, I don't know if I'll live long enough to shoot my age, I'd have to be really, really old for that to happen. I could see John Clockerty pulling that off. And it was just amazing to watch.
Yeah, but then, see, this is how my mind works, because I always go back to what Tommy Bowden used to say when he was a football coach at Clemson. When people ask him about his golf game, he said, it's not good. If my golf game was good, then you should be asking him why I'm spending that much time on the golf course and not coaching the football team. So, could you ask the same thing about a former official? We'll just kind of let that out there. That's
Well, thank you for rushing to my defense on that. That's actually my go-to card, because I have been a business owner. I am trying to help two young people, my kids, along in life, and I will be an empty nester next year, Dan.
Oh,
my daughter's a high school senior, so my line for basically 20 plus years has been, I'm going to have a chance to take this more seriously when my kids are out of the house, when my career is a little less chaotic in a good way, and when I can do exactly what you just mentioned, spend more time on it. I don't know anybody who's a great golfer. Now, Clockerty told me he plays 5 times a week in retirement. That might help hone his skills a little bit. I play about a half a dozen times a year, only when I'm invited into these tournaments. So I'm definitely higher on the fun factor than I am on the helping your final score. But at this stage of my life, that's kind of the way I like it to be.
Yeah, I understand completely. By the way, you're going to love being an empty nester. You're absolutely going to love it. I can promise you that. All right, let's get to some stuff here. Louisville has kind of been the surprise of the ACC, and Scott Satterfield's job that he's done in his first year there with the mess that Bobby Petrino left him has just been ridiculously good. But they suffered a big blow. Jawan Pass, their quarterback, is going to be out now. How does this change the dynamic of that team?
I think they're going to be okay, because they just put up a 62-burger on a previously undefeated Wake Forest team, and they did it without Puma Pass. They've been dealing with injuries to him for most of this season. They've used 3 different quarterbacks. So I don't think it's a sign that just because his season is over, I don't think the Cardinals are going to miss a beat at all. They have confidence in their backup quarterbacks. That's a big part of the equation. And they've just cultivated young talent, a guy named Tutu Atwell at wide receiver, a redshirt freshman running back who has been playing lights out for them, as they're one of the surprises of the ACC as well. And I thought Dabo Swinney said it really well this week when he said, look, you could see on video that they just weren't playing very hard last year, especially late last year. I mean, giving up is a strong phrase, but coaches can see the difference between face in the fan type passion and going through the motions. And that has been a 180-degree reversal under Scott Satterfield. They are prepared, as his App State teams always were. They're playing hard, as his App State teams always did. And unlike, say, a Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech, his first year, he inherited a much more problematic situation, a lot younger roster, that change of philosophy offensively that we've talked about. Scott Satterfield inherited actually a fairly experienced roster. So even though he was, like Georgia Tech, picked to be at the bottom of the league this year, there was at least a better chance that he could pull something off. Not only because he's a great coach, but because, Mekhi Becton is a future NFL offensive lineman who's an upperclassman at this point. And they're just really, as Dabo said, I think this week, that they don't have really hardly any true freshmen starting and not many redshirt freshmen. There are juniors and seniors all over the Louisville depth chart. And Scott Satterfield, changing the work ethic and the attitude there has gotten them off to this really.
I would agree. He's done just a phenomenal job there. We visit with Dave Glenn of ACCSports.com. Let's go over to the Coastal. I want to focus on a couple of teams. Number one, are the Hounds not maybe nipping at Justin Fuente quite as much? I mean, I know beating Rhode Island is not a landmark victory by any stretch of the imagination, but they are coming off a win over Miami. They're 4-2 now, 1-2 in the league, but 2 games over 500 overall. Have things started to quieten down a little bit in Blacksburg?
Yes, and it's almost entirely because of that 42-35 win over Miami. That was a game that wasn't exactly pretty. Remember, they almost coughed up that enormous lead against the Hurricanes, but they got a win, and they're 4-2. And 4-2 is a nice-looking record compared to most in the ACC. But I think the Justin Fuente conversation is going to continue, and he's not, run all the way to the other end of the spectrum away from that hot seat. Because, for example, what if the Hokies lose to Carolina this weekend? Remember, they were blown out, not just lost, but were blown out by the Duke Blue Devils in Blacksburg just a few weeks ago. If you lose to the Tar Heels at home, what happens later this year if for the first time in forever you lose to the arch rival Virginia Cavaliers? I mean, that has been an unbelievable winning streak in favor of the Hokies. I think the Hokies are the underdog in 5 of their last 6 games. Notre Dame being on that schedule as well. Wake Forest. The Pitt Panthers are playing fairly well. They're at UVA to close the regular season. They're at Notre Dame after playing the Tar Heels this weekend. So, I mean, if you lose all 5 of those, and then you're looking up again at one of those barely scrape into a bowl or maybe even miss a bowl scenarios, guess what? You and I are going to be back to the Justin Fuente on the hot seat conversation. If he surprises and gets on a roll here, well, who knows? Maybe he goes and wins 8 games, and then, then the conversation would be off to the side once again.
Visiting with Dave Glenn, as we do on Wednesdays, to go around the ACC and sometimes a little off script, depending on what's out there. The other team I wanted to talk about was Miami. David, it seems like year in and year out, everybody wants Miami to be back, and Miami never comes back. For whatever the reason, doesn't matter who the coach is. Mark Richt, he couldn't bring them quote unquote back, and now Manny Diaz in his first year, that loss we were just talking about to Virginia Tech. I mean, we could sit here and diagnose the disappointment that Miami has been since joining the Atlantic Coast Conference for hours, but where is this program right now under Manny Diaz in his first year?
It's a great question. I think the answer is that it's in a good place. They're only 3-3. I understand that. But they just got by far their best win by taking out a nationally ranked Virginia team. That defense we've been talking about since the summer had a chance to be brilliant with Manny Diaz promoted from defensive coordinator. His fingerprints are still all over that defense, and it has a bunch of NFL caliber talent, and it showed up. I mean, after a 42-point yield against the Hokies in a home loss, they kept the Coastal Division favorite Virginia to 9 points. And that's the talent showing up. The Canes are also favored in most of their games the rest of the way. Georgia Tech is clearly the worst team in this league this year. That's next for the Canes. Pittsburgh, Louisville, Florida International in non-conference. Duke is a beatable opponent. Florida State is a beatable opponent. I don't think they'll win all 6 of those to go 9-3. I don't think they're good enough offensively to win that consistently. But I could certainly see, say, an 8-4 finish. The way the defense is coming around, the inconsistency on offense stems from both the line and then the rotating kind of multi-headed quarterback situation. But that's not unusual in this league. I don't think anybody expected Manny Diaz to get the Canes, quote unquote, back in his first year. That is a school, Dan, and it's a long conversation that I'll try to make short. But basically, the Canes try to recruit against other superpowers of college football regularly there in South Florida. And yet the university and the athletic department has not invested in facilities and other budgetary matters the way virtually all of their competitors have. The Gators, the Noles, the SEC, Clemson, et cetera. And some say that's just an excuse, and I think it matters. It's not the be-all, end-all, but I do think it matters when you're trying to chase the same kids who can see better game day atmospheres and nicer stadiums and better on-campus settings in some cases than what the Canes have. So there's a lot to that mix. But, yeah, I think Manny Diaz is well-positioned after the Virginia win to at least have his first year as the head coach put up a nice record and maybe go to a mid-level bowl.
On the Clemson front, when are people going to learn that the last thing you want to do is give Dabo Swinney a reason to have his team portrayed as an underdog? I mean, the national media, for whatever reason, they continue to fall into the same trap, and that's exactly where he wants to be. He doesn't want to be out front. He wants to have something that gives him that chip on the shoulder that he can rally his team with, and here we go again.
Yeah, I think the guy's really, really smart in a lot of ways. I don't know how the Dabo's yelling at his kicker conversation went in your neck of the woods, but that was another national conversation where some took a lot of shots at Dabo Swinney. I think the guy is a master manipulator of the big picture. And he gets his guys to play with that chip on their shoulder. And he reinforces whatever skeptics there are out there nationally. And Dan, most of the skeptics are really mocking the rest of the ACC more than they're mocking the Clemson Tigers. And Dabo's still going to turn that into the disrespect card, as he should. And, again, everybody has different opinions on, his public berating of the kicker who missed a chip shot field goal with a 28-point lead over Florida State. I think the guy is trying to send the message that we are where we are because we don't lose focus as much as others do. We pay greater attention to detail than others do. And if you're going to lose your focus just because we're beating up on Florida State on a beautiful afternoon and all the home fans are happy, well, what if you lose that focus when we need that field goal against Alabama in a college football playoff setting? I really think that's how he's wired. And I think that's why he reacted to a moment most would view as meaningless, right? A missed chip shot when you're up 28, in a game that's basically over. I think that's just his wiring. And I think it's part of what makes him great. Again, not everybody agreed with the delivery there, but I understand the sentiment behind why he wanted everybody to still be in championship mode and championship mentality, even with a game that was already in hand against the Seminoles.
I think people who don't agree with coaches in general yelling at kids probably never had kids. So
or never played sports.
Yeah, one of the two, or maybe both. Before we go, anything from a basketball standpoint? Any notes? Anything standing out there as we get closer to the regular season getting underway?
It's funny. 25 years after I created the ACC Sports Journal, and it didn't look anything like it does today. Back 25 years ago, I can promise you that. It's funny to me that I walk to my mailbox and there's my magazine with my name on the cover and my predictions, and something that I created is now delivered to me 25 years later. It just came out, so even though basketball season remains 2+ weeks away. It's going to be a quick reminder to everybody. Not only I hope you check out the magazine, it is our best-selling annual every single year, along with the football kickoff edition.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a really good league again. For the first time in history, the schedule is extremely front-loaded. So you want to see Tony Bennett, last year's national champion in UVA, at Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim in Syracuse. That's an early November game. Notre Dame, I think, is going to be a surprise team this year. Mike Bray and the Irish visit Roy Williams and the Tar Heels. That's an early November game. So there's not the warm-up that you usually had, where a college sports fan might be almost all football until the new year, perhaps. And then maybe you turn the page to basketball. It's different this time. And fortunately, we still have a lot of good football to discuss. But it's going to be much more of a crossover in November and December this time than it has been in the past.
It's going to be fun. It's bearing down on us quickly, as they say. Dave, tell everybody how they can get more of what you do.
Yeah, ACCsports.com is the place to go if you want to order the magazine or subscribe to our online content. A lot of it is free, of course. All my ACC interviews, I think I talked to all 15 coaches, including Brad Brownell, when we went to Charlotte for Media Day, about a week ago. Audio, video, great analytics type stuff, football, basketball, recruiting. Hope you check out ACCsports.com. And we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary on Twitter. So if you want to follow us at ACC Sports or at David Glenn Show, we've been having a lot of fun for a whole decade at this point there.
Sounds good. Dave, as always, great stuff, man. We'll look forward to talking to you again next time.
Thanks, Dan. Always good to be with you, my friend. Enjoy the games.
All right, that is Dave Glenn, ACCsports.com, the David Glenn Show. We'll come back, and you will get an extended interview with Brett Harker, the Furman baseball coach. That's on the other side as we wrap it up. Right after this. Stay with us. Hey, everybody, Dan Scott. I've been telling you for some time now that I switched the protection of my home and family to Security Complete. I can tell you that I've been ecstatic with the results. Locally owned with more than 40 years experience in the industry, Security Complete uses nothing but the latest technology, which equals low overhead, which equals greater savings to the customer. Fully automated systems with monitoring rates much lower than the competition. Security Complete gives you all this and does not require a contract of any length. Find out more by calling 864-546-0630 or find them on Facebook and Twitter. Security Complete, my first line of defense. Make them yours today.
We're all trying to find our way, forge a path, blaze a trail. The work is hard and the work is personal, but you can't do it alone. At Furman, we're committed to giving you an advantage, the Furman Advantage. We know that graduates who are emotionally supported and who have deep learning experiences in college are 3 times as likely to be engaged at work and thriving in life. At Furman, all students are guaranteed 4 years of rigorous classroom education integrated with high-impact research, internships, study away, and a community of support every step of the way. This is the Furman Advantage.
Is your roof leaking or damaged? Do your gutters need repaired? You can Google roofing companies until your computer overheats, or you can simply call the best, Bracken Roofing and Gutter. Whether it's roof replacement, new and remodel installation, roofing insurance claims, whatever your needs, Bracken Roofing and Gutter will simply do it right the first time. And the same goes for gutter screen installations. Forget about balancing on ladders and cleaning your gutters. Let Bracken Roofing and Gutter screen them for you today. Listen, do not settle for subpar work. Get a free inspection today. Check out the reviews on Facebook. You'll see many satisfied customers, and they're all saying the same thing, that they're happy that they chose Bracken Roofing and Gutter. That's Bracken Roofing and Gutter. Call Kyle today at 864-704-5993. All right, welcome back to the show. We are in the home stretch. It's 10:45. We're going to go a little bit past 11 o'clock because of the interview that we have coming up. But in the fall, we like to, I got to get my baseball fix. And Brett Harker was in studio here on Monday. We recorded an interview. Furman Sports Weekly also has the audio to this, but you get to see the video interview. Coming up now, an in-depth look at how things are going in the fall, the schedule, which if it's not already up on FurmanPaladins.com, will be shortly, but you get a first glance at that. And we just do what we love to do, and that's talk a little baseball with Brett Harker. Here's that conversation. Our guest today here in studio and on this week's edition of Furman Sports Weekly, we're doing double duty, is Brett Harker, the Furman University baseball coach. We trying to catch up at least once every fall to see how things are going with the integration of the new players into the returners. And as usual, this guy is so confident that he's almost bouncing off the walls here inside the studio. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful fall day out. Got to go on a little walk with my almost 2-year-old and my dog this morning. And that's a pretty good way to start off a day. Then
Yes,
I get to come hang out with you and look at Paris Mountain and the changing leaves. I'm always jealous of your view. That's one of my favorite
You're
spots.
welcome to come over here anytime. I got plenty of room for you to work.
I appreciate it.
Fall break is on us as we're recording this, and after fall break is done, you've got 2 weeks left of fall ball. How has the first half gone?
It's been good. It's a lot of new faces, and there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to teach. We're very excited about those incoming class, and then that first day at practice, I looked at Coach Harvin and I said, "Oh boy, that's a lot of new faces. We got a lot to teach here." But it's been good. There's a lot of competition within this group. They've conducted themselves in a way that I'm very, very proud of. They're doing the right things on and off the field, and this team seems to get the little things that I've been trying to instill in our program and our culture. They seemed, even with all the new guys, they seem to have grasped that pretty quickly. And now it's just a matter of starting to hone in and find out what guys can do different things. A different thing with this team is we got guys that can play several different positions. So practices are a little bit hectic because we got to get reps with the guy at shortstop, then center field, then first base, and a lot of moving parts, but it's fun.
A year ago in the off season, you spent so much time working on the culture and the team chemistry aspect of things, and even though it only translated into 26 wins, I know you said that through the entire process of 2019 that aspect of your team never wavered. Have you seen the carryover, number one, and are you doing similar things this offseason to continue to try to build that, especially with an influx of a lot of new faces?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, 100% I've seen a carryover. And it seems as though...
there were about 4 questions in there.
Yeah, it seems as though the roots of what we did last year grew deep, and it's carrying over to the branches of what this year is. I don't think I had to do quite as much. I felt like we needed to lay a very solid foundation last year, but your culture is a living, breathing thing, and you got to invest in it every day. So, of course, we're doing stuff. We always have speakers come in. We did a really fun hike to the top of Table Rock. And out of our 35 guys, I think about 15 to 20 of them had never been hiking at all. And so that was a really fun experience. Of course, we hike up this thing. It takes us about 2.5 hours, and I mean it's pretty straight up if you've never done that entire hike, anybody listening. And the guys are so excited, and we get to the top, and typically it's a 2,200 foot look right off the edge of the mountain, and you can't see 8 feet in front of you with a fog that rolls in. And I said, well, that's life, but we still got some good pictures up there and really enjoyed it. And we continue to look for different ways to, just grow this group and understand that wins and losses are huge, and we pride ourselves in continuing to build this program. But, when you ask guys when their careers are over, what do they miss the most? They're going to usually say the bus rides, batting practice, things that you take for granted now. They're a really big deal, and that's what you're going to miss. And we're always trying to make sure that those guys are taking it much more than surface level.
So as a guy who made it to AAA and spent 9 years professionally, do you miss the bus rides?
The bus rides, I do not. With the way I get car sick, that is one thing I do not miss. But you miss hanging out in the clubhouse and playing spades and the post game spreads, and just the silly stuff is what you miss. Mm-hmm. And we try and make sure that those guys aren't taking it for granted, because when you're 18 to 22, you get so caught up in the end result that you forget to enjoy the process of it. And I think little things like that, man. We woke up and we were on the road at 6:50 in the morning in our little vans. I felt like I was back in Division II driving the team in a van up the mountain. We get there and no one really knows what to expect. I had to tell the guys, when you go hiking up a mountain, you're not like rock climbing. I think they had in their head that we needed like ropes and
Right.
harnesses. I said it's a really extended hill is what it is. But, that kind of stuff, they'll remember the rest of their life.
I'm talking with Brett Harker on this week's edition of Furman Sports Weekly, and also doubling up for the Dan Scott Show. So let's talk about this team as it's coming together. Let's start with some of your returners, and you've got a good nucleus of veteran players coming back, and I'd say that you probably have to be most excited about getting your third baseman back, getting Jake Crawford back after missing last year with Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, obviously his impact on the team as a leader, just what he can do. I mean, that guy as a freshman was our shortstop, hit third, and was our closer, as a freshman. So obviously he's got so many innings and games played underneath his belt, and we really missed him last year. But the blessing in disguise there is, for an entire year, Jake got to wear the hat of a coach and see things a different way. And to have his experience, I joke around and call him Chris Winky in the dugout now because I feel like he's like 29 and has been around forever. But just to have that experience on our staff or on our team, I think it's just brings so much value to that dugout and that locker room.
Is the plan to get him back on the mound?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's dynamic, and his breaking ball is pretty special. He's been working his way back with bullpens right now, but he has not pitched live. He has played really good third base for us and really swung the bat well. He's had a little more patience than he had in the past. We used to joke that Jake had to swing in the first two pitches. He's had a little more patience, but he seemed to do really well with 2 strikes so far this fall and giving our pitchers a hard time.
A couple of other guys who were big offensive cogs for you a year ago, Trent Alley and Dax Roper, are back, but both of them dealing with a little injury here in the offseason.
Yeah, so they both were really swinging the bat well. In particular, Trent Alley through the first half of the fall was our best hitter. And he has some toe stuff that he's working out right now. We're trying to figure out the best course of action to get him back as soon as possible. And then Dax had a little knee thing happen while he was catching, and MRI, everything came back good. So he should be back sooner than later. But we've obviously missed them and their bats, and just having that depth through this fall. Those little injuries like that, when you don't carry 45 or 50 guys like other teams do in the fall, and we do that on purpose. We do that so we can develop our 35. We do that so guys get reps. Well, the only downside on that is if you do have some injuries, it makes inter-squad difficult. When we go play the other teams we'll talk more about that this upcoming weekend. We have no problem filling out those lineups. But when you need 2 of everything and 6 outfielders and things can get a little tight with 35 guys when you got some injuries. So we've missed those guys this fall for sure.
Some other familiar names coming back, David Webble, Jordan Starks in your outfield, Jared Mahalik, who transitioned to first base second half of last year almost by default. How have they looked in the offseason?
I mean, they've probably been the most impressive. David Webble's fall has been as good as you can have, along with Starks. I mean, their on-base percentage is through the roof. The pressure that they've put on our pitchers and catchers with the amount of bases that they've stole is something that we've really lacked the last couple of years. And we've had those guys on our team, but it's tough to steal if you're not on base. And they've done a really good job of figuring out whatever it takes to get on base and then putting pressure on the defense after that. And then Jared Mahalik's been nothing short of phenomenal for us at first base. Defensively, he's probably been our best infielder and has really helped our younger guys in the infield with the way he's picked some balls and made some tough plays. And it's fun to see that guy develop. That guy's went from third base to start off to left field, now from left field to first base. And it seems like every challenge we present to him, he takes in stride and figures out how to get better. And he's had a great fall for us.
As far as returning guys on the mound, John Michael Bertrand again will head up things for you. What's Matt Lazaro look like? You also have Rob Hughes, Jordan Beats, and some familiar names Just talk about that group coming back.
Yeah, I mean, Bertrand, obviously, he's our two-time Carter Grit Award winner. He's just always going to push guys and lead them, and he's going to, we plan on him being a mainstay and logging a lot of innings for us. Matthew Lazaro has looked really, really good. He has really kept the ball down well, added that breaking ball to his arsenal, and his changeup, which he has always had, he's firmed up and made it look more like a fastball out of his hand, and he's had a really good fall. I've been very pleased with him. And, of course, Rob Hughes, we all know how electric he can be. Right now we're starting him and stretching him out more innings and seeing how that role plays out. But we know as a default at any point we could put him back at the back end of the game, and we have one of the best closers in college baseball. But it'd be nice to have that over 6 innings. So we're excited with his development. And then Beats has pitched some of the toughest innings we've had over the last 3 years, and he's got a ton of experience and looking to build off of that.
Well, one of the things that maybe gives you some flexibility to use Hughes as a starter set at the back of the bullpen is a couple of freshman pitchers that you've got coming in that I know you're really excited about, and that's Matthew Marshall from right here in Greenville and a Texan and Stone Simmons. You're just raving about those guys a few minutes ago.
Yeah, those guys, they've had very, very strong falls, and they have electric stuff and the demeanor to go along with it. And they're not pitching like freshmen, so I'm not going to tell them that's not typically how freshmen pitch. Just the way they carry themselves, the tempo, just the electricity in their arms. I mean, they've been impressive. They both, have 88 to 92 mile-an-hour fastballs with good breaking balls and some plus changes. I'll tell you, an underlying theme in our freshman class, we have got some guys that can spin the ball really well, but our changeups in that class are some of the best pitches on our team. And that's not typically something that you see out of a freshman class. They're typically are just winding back and throwing as hard as they can. Coach Davis has done a great job of bringing in pitchers that know how to throw strikes. That's something we've done very well this fall as well. There's not been a whole lot of free passes on. We're making guys earn it. And, Marshall and Simmons have done an incredible job of just really attacking hitters and being on the offense when they're on the mound.
4 other freshmen that you mentioned to me before we started this that you've been impressed with so far. 2 infielders, Joey Tepper, who's a transfer from Spartanburg Methodist, freshman Aiden Healy, and then a young man named Eli Wisner, and another Greenville product, but a Liberty University transfer and outfielder Blake Brady.
Yeah, so those guys, I mean, they're putting depth and putting pressure on everybody on our field. I mean, Joey Tepper was SMC's shortstop last year. Had a great year for them. He's just a gamer. He's a good leader in the clubhouse. The way the guys treat him and the respect he has, it's insane that the guy's been on campus for 3 months. The guys just gravitate towards him. He's a natural leader and a guy that makes it easy to ride him in your lineup. Aiden Healy from New Jersey has had a great fall as well. He's a very, very dynamic kid. He's got the speed. He's got the arm. He's got power. He can hit for average. He's got a really, really high ceiling, and we're excited about him. Eli Wisner's from Virginia. Really big stick. He kind of reminds me of Olmsted a little bit and his potential of having some home run power. We brought him in knowing he could do several different things, play third, play a corner outfield, play first. I don't know what he's going to do. I know that he gives us some depth in all those positions, and I know that if you swing the bat the way he's been swinging, you got to find somewhere to play him. And then Blake Brady has had a huge fall for us as well. He's played a really good left field for us. Like you said, he's from right here in Greenville. Went to Liberty out of high school and has found his way to Furman. And he's got some serious light tower power, man. He's a grown man when he swings the bat, and seems to do a pretty good job of not mixing that in with a whole lot of strikeouts, of putting the ball in play and forcing the defense to make a play. So it's been fun to see these guys compete and add a lot more depth and put pressure at every position.
This is Brad Harker. This is the new edition of Furman Sports Weekly, and we're doubling up on the Dan Scott Show as well. A year ago, one of the things that contributed to winning only 26 games was the fact that you didn't put the ball in play enough. You struck out quite a bit, and I don't have to tell you that. What leads you, what gives you confidence that that's going to change this year, that you're going to put the ball in play more?
Well, it's a simple fact that those guys know they got to put the ball in play more because we have more choices. And there's a lot more pressure on guys, and that, nothing makes you make adjustments more than riding the pine, and guys are making adjustments in the fall and learning that the home run swing maybe is not always the best situation in certain counts. And the bottom line is we need to score runs, and there's certain times where, taking a swing that can do damage is nice, and there's certain times where hitting a ground ball to second base and getting that runner over to third or getting that guy in from the plate is what your team needs.
Mhm.
And that's just called being a baseball player, and they do it at the big league level. They do it at every level, and unless you're going to be a guy that's going to drive in 25, 30 home runs a year, you just need to know what the team needs in order for you to win. And guys are buying into that. And look, this team wants to do something special, and they understand that. Look, I love home runs more than the next guy. And I just think that there's certain times where you need to take a little more disciplined approach, especially with 2 strikes, put the ball in play, and put some pressure on the defense.
Yeah, you say they do it at the big leagues, and I think the best teams probably do. I go back to last year's world champions, the Red Sox, and how well they hit with 2 strikes. But the flip side of it is at the big league level and even seeing it at the minor league level, it's kind of becoming a lost art. It's almost home run or strikeout. That's the mindset. And these kids grow up watching that. Do you find yourself having to deprogram them at all?
Well, the only thing is you got to understand, too, those guys are getting – I saw a thing on Twitter this morning that was talking about a guy's disgusting 93-mile-an-hour changeup. Changeup. That was like my best bolt, and I was a 5th-round draft pick. So these guys, the secondary pitches that these big leaguers are throwing, they're built to be swing and miss pitches. A lot of that comes into play when you talk about the high strikeout numbers, and we don't need to get into all this, but obviously Major League Baseball has done something with baseballs, and they fly a whole lot more, and ballparks aren't getting bigger, they're getting smaller, and I think they're enticing big leaguers to have that approach. And pitchers are having to make adjustments, and they're having to figure out what to do to not pitch to contact. So I think Major League Baseball is just more geared to that. That isn't necessarily in a college game how teams are built. And if you look, teams that have high strikeouts in college baseball, they don't win a whole lot. Quite simple. You can still get away with it in Major League Baseball because you look at the home run numbers, and there's something to justify the high strikeouts. In college baseball, there hasn't been that much of a – it's just you're more of a swing and miss team, and that's not a good thing. It's not at the expense of hitting home runs.
Okay. We'll come back to the second half of the fall as we get towards the end because you got a couple of games I know you'd like to promote. But let's talk about this schedule. First of all, there's going to be a lot of baseball at Latham Stadium.
There is
this year.
It's going to be a heavy home load.
The schedule should be released publicly maybe as soon as sometime this week, but you're going to get a chance to play a lot of games in front of your home fans, and you got to like that.
I do, and that's by design. I think that we've played a lot of road games. We've went to a lot of very difficult places, and some of these teams are coming back to us. College of Charleston coming back to play at our place. We obviously went there last year. We still have a very challenging schedule, but a lot of them are at home, and I think that's a good year to learn how to defend Latham. And it'd be awesome for our fans to get to see that many games right here on Furman's campus.
If I'm counting correctly here while you were talking, 34 of your 56 games are scheduled to be at Latham Stadium, and it's not often that a school our size has that luxury. You expect a Clemson or South Carolina to play the bulk of their non-conference schedule at home, but for you to have 34 out of 56, if I counted correctly.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because I started looking at certain teams around and looking, who's winning 35 to 40 games a year. And there's no coincidence that they're playing the most home games out of anybody, and there's a reason. It's just you're comfortable there. There isn't the surprise factor, and you're not staying in hotel rooms and all this different stuff. So we loaded up a little more this year. We're going to see what kind of advantage that can give to our boys, but we still got a very challenging schedule on the road as well. Obviously, anytime you go in the conference, you're always going to have – you don't get to choose home or away on conference. I wish you did. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
But, we still have some fun road trips mixed in there as well.
Well, as far as non-conference teams coming to Latham Stadium, and by the way, when I counted the home games, I included what you'll play at Fluor Field against Clemson and South Carolina. But you've got Northern Kentucky coming in. You got LaSalle coming in to open the season, then Northern Kentucky for 3, Fordham for 3, Campbell will be here for 3, College of Charleston will be here for 3. That's all in the non-conference before we even get to SoCon play.
Yeah, and those are some really good teams. Fordham has won a lot of games here lately. Obviously, College of Charleston is one of the premier mid-majors, and they're always very, very competitive. And then Campbell, goodness, they've won 43, 44, 45 games the last couple of years, and that'll be a huge challenge for us. But once again, I'm glad to have them at home, and that'll be a great challenge for our guys.
And then on the road, the crown jewel is.
Well, this is the one you've been counting down for 2 years.
Yeah,
right here.
exactly. In the greatest city in the world, as far as I'm concerned, going to Cincinnati the last weekend in March to take on the Xavier Musketeers.
I am only doing this to go to Montgomery, and so Andrew's family, we're coming. Just know that we are coming.
Oh, when Evan saw that on the schedule, he texted. He thought it was going to be last year.
Yeah,
he thought we were coming in March of 2019.
So we're excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a lot of alumni up there. I think it'll be a great event. Hopefully, we can create some good stir on Furman coming up there. I'm not sure the last time that Furman's been in Cincinnati at all. I'm sure it's been a while. I've been here 6 years. We haven't been there. So it'll be a good event for us to get back up there, see alumni, and hopefully play some good baseball. Hopefully it's not too cold. I don't know.
It may be, but I'll be in the booth, so it doesn't matter to me. If they have a booth at Xavier, which I'm sure they probably do. Just quickly, you expect the conference to be anything but challenging?
It's going to be tough. I mean, it is every year, and you're always going to have a team that's a little bit better than you think preseason, and then you're going to have your mainstays in there that are always going to be good. But we are very optimistic. Our big approach this year is we're not going to talk about how good we can be. We just need to get better today.
Mm-hmm.
And we just know that on paper we have everything we need to be very, very successful. Now my job and the coaching staff's job is to optimize that and to figure out how to be the best that we can be with what we have here. And that only happens on, we start again on Wednesday. And we need to start getting better on Wednesday and preparing for this upcoming weekend. And then, of course, February 16th?
February 14th.
14th?
Valentine's Day, baby.
Day. All right.
Your conference bye week is actually the second week of conference. That's when you're going to Xavier. Mm-hmm. So after that, it's 7 straight weekends of conference play.
Oh, yeah. And that's, once again, that just rotates. You have no say-so in that. And that'll be a good challenge. What's funny is all these out-of-conference, they're fun, but, man, you play that very first conference game, and it just feels so magnified. Mm-hmm. And just thinking about it, I get excited. And there's just such rivalries, and, a lot of teams don't like each other a whole lot. And it makes it that much more fun.
Continuing to visit with Brett Harker as we come down the stretch here. We get back to the fall. You got 2 weeks remaining. And beginning last year, the NCAA allows you to actually play a couple of games against outside teams that don't count against your 56. So it's going to be a chance for Furman baseball fans to see a couple of those games at Latham Stadium, right?
Yep. So we are going to play our first game the night of homecoming. So the football game is at 1, I believe. Is that correct? 1 o'clock. And then our game will be at 7 o'clock underneath the lights at Latham Stadium. And we'll play Young Harris, which is a very, very successful team out of Georgia. That'll be a great challenge for our guys, especially our younger guys, to put on the full uniform, see a different team in there underneath the lights. The crowd will be awesome. We expect a really good turnout there. And then we're actually going to play our second game that following day, Sunday at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, we're actually going to play a 14-inning game, 2 7-inning games to combine for 14 innings against Anderson University. That'll be a good way to get our arms out there. And the strategy behind that was most teams split apart their games. We did last year. So I played a Saturday against somebody and a couple of weeks later, a Saturday or Sunday against somebody. And the problem was I played a 9-inning game and a 9-inning game, so I ended up pitching pitchers for 1 inning. And, well, the problem is at this point they're built up to 3 and 4. So we actually felt like our outside games made us take a step back in their development. So I said, well, if I schedule them back-to-back and one of them's an extended game, we'll actually get to see these guys compete for more than 12 pitches. So that was kind of the strategy behind that. Make it more like a series to where guys have to go deeper in game and challenge these pitchers to get, more than just 3 outs.
So will you actually stop and start a new game, or are you going to play 14 straight innings?
We're going to stop and let the umpires change out who's behind home plate and then play another one.
I got you.
Yep.
Good deal. Love talking baseball. Don't care what time of year it is. I'm excited, looking forward to it. Anything else going on that we need to tell people about? Again, the schedule should be released sometime soon.
Yep, schedule should drop, hopefully this week. We'll get all of that out. Brett Huebner's our director of operations this year. He's done a great job with us, and we still got him around the program. Been excited about that. We've increased some of our technology with a Rapsodo and some cameras, and we're working on getting that center field camera for this season, so hopefully that'll be in. But he's done a great job of being the behind the scenes on all this different technology, and we're excited about having him. But it's been a good team, and we're excited about just seeing where we can run with this thing. There's a lot of new faces, and I think it's going to be exciting for you to see just a different look that we have this year, but keeping that culture the same and still doing the things that make Furman baseball special.
Yeah, and for those of you who may not have seen the release we put out right before football season started, this will be the first year in the history of Furman University that the entire baseball season will be fully vested in the radio portion of things. So all 56 games, unless there's a direct conflict with basketball where they're going head to head, every game will be available over the air on our flagship station, Fox Sports 1440, for the first time ever. So
that's incredible.
I'm
excited
always,
about
that.
We thank you for helping our program and doing everything you do.
Well, good Lord just put me in a place to be able to influence those negotiations a little bit, and I'm just excited about it. So we've got more over-the-air free sports than ever at Furman University, and we do it all for those folks out there.
Awesome.
So, Brett, it's good to see you,
Thank
as
you,
always.
Thank
That's
you.
Brett Harker. This has been Furman Sports Weekly and the Dan Scott Show.